podcast. And with me today, I have Monsieur Alex Smith.
It's me.
It,
I'm here.
it's my main man. The other Bonnaroo crew members, Mikey and Levi, they were unable to attend this broadcast and everything. But I figured I've done a lot of research, I've done a lot of reading, and honestly, I'm done enough of absorbing. Um, and now that I've wrangled at least somebody to come and talk to me about everything from their perspective, I just want to talk about the whole what the heck happened at Bonnaroo, like what exactly happened. So, Alex, my man, you arrived on what day?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. You got the early access for camping, right?
Yeah.
Dang. So, how much is the early access compared to like the normal access for camping? Isn't it like a upcharge?
No, it
It's the
all
same.
costs the same, but
Okay.
they were way more expensive this time than last time. I mean, like it was like the first year that I went, it was like $50. This time it was like I think it was like 190 after all the taxes and fees and stuff.
Wow. Okay. So that's good to know. I didn't know that. I thought that they charged more this time around if you came early, but that's good to know. So you arrived on Tuesday and you camped Tuesday and Wednesday, and then the festival began on Thursday. Thursday was a normal Bonnaroo day, like not necessarily a full day, but it begins at what time? Like at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock?
Yeah, something like that. We went
Yeah.
in and we the first thing we did was we saw dice bits at 3 p.m.
I'm gonna actually pull up the schedule so then that way yeah, it was 3 p.m. Okay, so I'm just gonna pull up the um. Oh wait, yeah. Am I able to share? All right, technical stuff here. Okay. All right. Hopefully that's sharing now. Looks like it is. Cool. So here's the schedule. Bonnaroo officially begins on Thursday, but you got to get in there early. You got to. Where did you get parked for your camping spot?
We were in Plaza 2. We were
Plaza
over
Two.
by Where in the Woods.
Where in the woods? Oh, so you were fairly close.
Yeah, our walk over to the arch was maybe 10 minutes or so.
Okay, I got that tab up now. So yeah, you were camping right over here. Nice. So you were not that far of a walk from Center Brew at all. So that's pretty cool. You're over there, and then you can go right to Where in the Woods. You're pretty far from all the different plazas, though, I must say. So that's a definite walk. Like if you're wanting to go to like Plaza 3 or 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11,
Well,
even 5
actually,
or
the row that
6.
we were in, so we were in a row that was down right by where all the bathrooms and showers and stuff were. And if we were going to Plaza 3, like where House of Yes is, it usually probably wouldn't even take, but like I feel like 5 to 7 minutes. It was really short
Oh, really? Okay.
because you
So
would
the
just go
map
and cut straight across. It would be a straight shot over there.
Okay, so the map was like a little bit deceiving as for the sizes and whatnot of the
Yeah.
graph here. Okay, good to note. I haven't personally been back to Bonnaroo since 2018. I would have loved to have gone this year, but with the change in events and stuff, I'm really brokenhearted. I can't believe everything that has happened, especially to you and Mikey and Levi, my closest and dearest friends. Like to be harmed by this event in this way, it's crazy. I can't believe it. Like it's really hard to believe that this is where we're at.
Yeah.
So good to note that you were in Plaza 2. Let me go back to the schedule so we don't get off track. And you didn't, there isn't anything else really like on the days beforehand, right? Like Bonnaroo doesn't really get started like the event.
There was
And
some stuff on Wednesday over at Where in the Woods, but other than that, and maybe like House of Yes, like Outer Roof stuff, but not like in Center.
got you. Okay, so there was some stuff that was worth getting there early for to like kind of get the party a little bit of a pre-starter, but the real uh gun show doesn't really start until Thursday with the actual headliners and stuff. But would you consider Thursday to be a full Bonnaroo day?
I would say it's closer to a half day.
Because normally the other days begin at like noon or 11, right? Like I think it's like 11. Let's
Yeah,
just take a peek at Friday. So Friday it says 1. 1 was like the earliest time that they have. Same for
definitely more like
Saturday as
half
like
day.
1:30. So
Thursday more like half day.
so it's basically like 2 hours that you're missing out on for the beginning of the Bonnaroo normal day. But it feels more like a half day, and they've always marketed it more as like a half day too. So you got to go on Thursday. You went and you saw some acts, and it kind of got you pre lubricated for the weekend ahead. You know, the meat and potatoes really begins on Friday. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is usually like the main beef and potatoes of the festival. So, but what happened was you woke up Friday and weather rolled in, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it took a little bit for it. I mean, we got up earlier in the morning. It was like probably 8 or 9 when we woke up, and then I mean, we were hanging out for a few hours, and then around I think it was like 1 or so, we went to walk into Bonnaroo, 12:30 or 1, and then it was starting to come down, and pretty much as soon as we got in, they started to make announcements on the speakers that there was storms in the area and to get away from structures. So we were like, okay. So we went away from the structures, and then I think I went over by the locker to put something in or get something out or whatever. And then pretty much as soon as we got over there, the people working by the lockers came over and were like, "Hey, now we just have to get everybody out of Bonnaroo, so y'all are gonna have to go back to camp." And so we pretty much got pushed out.
And that was before. Um, at what time would you say that was? That was like at one
It was
o'clock
about
or 1:30.
1:30.
Yeah, so moments before Ginger Root was supposed to go on your first act
Moments
of the
before
day.
we were supposed to see Ginger Root, and then yeah, so we went back to camp. Um, I was thinking when the rain started to come. I mean, usually when those things happen, it's like maybe like anywhere from a 15 to 30 minute delay, and then we can go back in. So I was thinking it would be a shorter time,
Yeah,
but it just kept being hours on hours on hours. It had been like 3 hours, then 4 hours, and suddenly before you know it, it was like
it was
five
7:30.
o'clock, which was around the time that I was supposed to be seeing like MJ Lenderman, and I was like, ah, shit, we're gonna miss MJ Lenderman. And then before I knew it, it was 7, which was Gizzard time, and I was like, well,
Yeah,
fuck, like that's when Gizzard's supposed to be. So I just felt like something was wrong, and then coming about 7 o'clock or closer to 8 o'clock, they posted an announcement that it was
yeah.
canceled. So
They
that was pretty much that whole day.
they pretty much I don't see the original posting. They don't have it on their site anymore of or like on Instagram it looks like of that them saying like when it was like officially canceled and stuff. They don't have like an official post. Like it was mainly their like story. It looks like that they posted that too at the time being, from what I'm seeing on Instagram here.
Their statement is still up. It's just pinned to the top of their Instagram
Oh,
page.
I'm a dummy. Never mind. Yeah, you're right. I always forget
Yeah.
that feature there. But anyways, top comment that pops up for me is Mikey saying F Live Nation. That's funny. But yeah, so this came out, it says 3 days ago. It doesn't tell us like what time. So yeah, I mean, they made the statement. I'll share this tab. Here's the official statement. It says today the National Weather Service provided us with an update forecast with significant and steady precipitation that will produce deteriorating camping and egress conditions in the coming days. We are beyond gutted, but we make the safest decision and cancel the remainder of Bonnaroo. We are going to make things right with you. Yeah. And you will find refund information at the end of this message. But let's start with the next steps. The number one thing we need from the Bonnaroo community is patience. basically saying stay calm, but everywhere online is people freaking out. Some of your fellow campers' sites are in rough shape, such as Levi's. His was underwater. The rain has settled in areas and made certain parts of Outer Route difficult to manage. We'd like to prioritize getting those folks as well as those with accessibility needs off the farm as soon as possible this evening. To do this, we ask that if your campsite is in good condition, or if you're in an RV or pre-pinched accommodation, please consider spending the night with us, and we'll start working to get you out of here safely tomorrow. We will continue to operate as usual in Outer Roo, including food vendors and all health and safety infrastructures. We have put our hearts and souls into making this weekend the most special one of the year and cannot express how crushed we are to have to make this decision. Thank you in advance for your patience, your positivity, and unfailing Bonnaroovian spirit. So that's the official statement. Then on the next slide, they say refunds. All day one, all one day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday admission tickets via front gate tickets, and one day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday parking purchased via front gate tickets will be refunded 100%. All 4-day admission tickets purchased via front gate will receive a 75% refund. All 4-day camping accommodations purchased via front gate tickets will also receive a 75% refund. All refunds will be processed in as little as 30 days to the original method of payment. This is the news that you received on Friday around 7:30. What were your
Yes.
exact thoughts and feelings in that moment?
Um, like that shit wasn't real. Like
Yeah,
I've already I've already lived that once.
yeah,
That
I
exact
know.
same moment, that exact same reason. So living that moment twice, it's like it's not. It's like this is not actually happening. So,
Yeah,
but anyway,
and with their track record too, like everybody's also been talking about this on Reddit and everywhere else, of course. But the big thing that everybody is saying is that within 5 years, they have had three of them be canceled, and one was due to a pandemic, and two is due to weather. Now, why and how did they not get this right this time? You know, and we're gonna
well,
explore that. We're gonna explore that question in just a moment. I still want to pace out the rest of what happened that day, because earlier that day when you were waiting, everybody was like still partying and like dancing in the rain, doing mud puddles and all different types of things. And then this news hit. All you're hearing is screams, cries of agony, and people literally wailing in the freaking campgrounds. And everyone's like, what the hell is going on? And then they finally check their phones and realize it's canceled. You receive this gut bomb, and you're kind of left with your next thoughts as to what now, you know? So, you know, what, you were one of the few people that actually listened to the warning and decided to just stay the night because your campground was in an okay position, right?
it was. I mean, it was fine. It was really muddy. We tried to leave. I think the only one of us that left
It
on
was Levi.
well, Levi wasn't, he wasn't camped with us, but yeah, I mean, as far as in our group, like the only person that left on Friday night was Caleb.
Oh, Caleb.
Caleb and their partner left, but we tried to get out, but we were just thinking like, let's just stay a night. So I mean, I got up the next morning, like I slept in the car. I mean, I already had the campsite packed up and everything.
Yeah.
So I just got up next morning and I was looking around and I was like, I'll just wait and I'll see if somebody comes to do something. And I watched for like 30 minutes and nobody came. I was like, all right, I'll just go back to sleep for a bit and then I'll wake up and see if anything's going on. It's a repeat process. Still nobody was coming to help. I was like, I'll go back to sleep. Just repeat process. I did that about 3 times. And after like 3 separate times of looking around to see if anybody was coming, there was still nobody. And I'm just like, all right, well, fuck this shit. I'm gonna just
Take
start
matters
making
into
my
your
own way
hand.
out. Like I'm just
Yeah.
literally scoping my own exit strategy and leaving. So I got people that were around the campsite to help me push my car through some mud to a drier spot, and then where I could get to the road to get
Yeah.
out. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Um, but I did hear that tow companies were still charging people like $300 to get them out of the mud, which
Why?
is ridiculous to me because it's like there's like nothing. I mean, that's number one. I didn't see that for myself, so I'm going off what I've heard. But if that's true, that's bullshit. And that should be paid for by Bonnaroo and by Lev Nation to get people out.
I agree. At least having some type of service on site to be able to assist. Um, it should definitely be a part of their plan. Um, I can't even imagine just calling a tow truck and then still being charged to even just get your car out of the mud to leave because they're telling you to. They're telling you to leave
Yeah, people are
because
still being charged. Yeah,
yeah, because they said show's over, folks. You know, the campgrounds is unsafe basically. Like you have to leave.
that's pretty much what they said.
So
Yeah.
yeah, um, and the rain it did a lot of things. Like I was reading many stories online where one, yeah, like it flooded lots of people's campsites, but two, for Levi's case, he was near porta potties, and
Levi's camp was directly downhill from where the bathrooms, where the porta potties were.
yeah, and with poor drainage and improper engineering for storm drainage, it allowed for literal, diseases of feces and stuff like that to
It's
go into
gross.
his campsite, and he is now sick. He's very sick. I feel for him. This is awful. That's like worst case scenario for anybody who's dealing with that. Like that's unacceptable. It's 100% unacceptable. And Bonnaroo needs to know this, and it will affect them for the future. I full heartedly believe this. Um, yeah. I honestly, I have no words for people that had to deal with what Levi's dealing with. Like it's just that's awful. I would hate that. I would hate that so much, being so sick and you're just at home and you thought that you were about to have the best. You save up all your money to do this event, you take off the little PTO that you have, that you accumulate for this event. It's literally the main event that most people in the festival community will you know dedicate a lot of their vacation time to. And here they are in this predicament that could have been really avoided if the organizers took the right precautions and invested in the right infrastructure ahead of time.
Yeah. I mean, I walked over to Levi's camp at one point, and literally the water was
It stunk.
like deep enough that it like you could stand in it and be like up to your ankles. You know,
Yeah.
more like your calves. Like that shit was high. So
Yeah. And it's so unacceptable. Um, but I want to say, so after all of that kind of took place, I'm going to stop sharing that tab real quick because we're done looking at that one. But so after that happened, there was a great divide in the community. It seemed like, at least on Reddit, that's very prevalent. There were the people that were uh, proud and privileged, I would say, who had the money and the funds to still make something of their weekend. And you know, this event, I want to backtrack just a half second actually. But this event, it doesn't only just affect those who were attending, it affects the vendors, it affects the food, it affects those that were counting on that money that was going to be coming in. It also affects the bands that are supposed to be performing at this event. um, Especially with how everything went down from that announcement. A lot of accounts were silent. A lot of bands accounts were silent. They did not come out and say anything, whereas other bands went on immediately and were quick to try and rebound from the situation and host their own show in Nashville or other cities that were close by, like Chattanooga. Um, but I get it. I understand that artists need to still make their money, but at the same time, they're going to venues that are still owned by Live Nation. So why can't the organizers of Bonnaroo, who are Live Nation, work with these venues that are close by last minute and maybe devise like a Bonnaroo sponsored event. So then that way, like, people do have something to go to. Whereas what actually happened, which is basically a hand over fist fight to get tickets, and it left the people who didn't have the money because they put all the money into being at Bonnaroo, they're not able to get those tickets. So what happens to them? They just have to go home, or they're stuck with the bill paying a tow truck to get them out. That'll literally ruin your weekend, your entire weekend.
Yeah, I do think that at a certain point, if you're going to Nashville and you're gonna set up a show, that show should be only for people with Bonnaroo wristbands at that point, because
Yeah.
it's like that was what you're going to be doing, is playing to Bonnaroo attendees. I'm not sure if I understand
So one
tickets
of
going on sale and shit.
Yeah, so one of the events I wanted to talk about most was, Bonnaroo always has the really cool Super Jam, right? This year it was supposed to be hosted by Remy Wolf with other bands and artists of those bands, but such as like Haley Williams from Paramore. So they still went on to do their show after Bonnaroo was canceled. They were supposed to do this on Saturday. I think they still did it Saturday, but they did it in Nashville. And they have Bonnaroo in the title. Like, it's the Bonnaroo Super Jam makeup event. They're still labeling it Bonnaroo. But the issue is that it was not free to people who went to the Bonnaroo event, who had those Bonnaroo wristbands. They didn't even get a discount. There was no discount, no, subsidies or makeup or anything. They had to pay full price to go to this event. And let alone, it was the most popular event to try and get into. So what do you think happened there? There was people who were buying extra tickets to resell them, and they were reselling them at astronomical rates. I read somewhere on Reddit that someone was trying to sell it for like $500 a ticket or something, when they were only like $40 or something at the beginning. It's crazy. It's
It is
absolute
crazy.
chaos.
It is absolutely crazy.
And there's only two things. I mean, well, there's a few things to blame, but I feel like there's two groups that's easy to identify and blame, and it's Ticketmaster and Live Nation. This event could have been handled so much better, and
Yes.
the result that we have seen has tarnished the brand of Bonnaroo. Bonnaroo did not begin its roots as a Live Nation event. It was cultivated by other people that created Superfly and I think C3, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So these, Bonnaroo is a brand, and it was sold to Live Nation, and it's very prevalent and apparent that Live Nation does not know how to handle a camping festival. They don't know what
No,
they're doing with Bonnaroo.
they don't, and they shouldn't. I mean, they shouldn't be involved in it. It should just, you know, Bonnaroo should move on from Live Nation, but they have such a monopoly over everything, and so much money that they give to Bonnaroo, and so that's always, it's always the dangling of the carrot in front of their face to say, if you take away our partnership with you, then we take away all this money, and then you're fucked. So then what do you do? So it's a lot of power plays and shit. I'm sure
Yeah, because at the end of the day,
manipulation.
money is what the business is, right? Money talks. Money
Yeah,
is what moves these things. And because Ticketmaster and Live Nation have such a grip on the industry, I wanted to bring to light that this event with the Bonnaroo name, Bonnaroo Super Jam Makeup Event, was actually located at the Brooklyn Bowl, Nashville. And if you do a simple, quick Google search to bring up this venue and take a look right here, project highlights, this venue with 19 bowling lanes. That's kind of cool. 2 floors. It is owned by Live Nation right here in black and white.
yeah,
It's owned by Live Nation. Live Nation owns Bonnaroo. This event is titled Bonnaroo, the makeup show. So why are they charging people money to attend this event when they should be making it up to the people who have endured the conditions that they put them through, such as being stuck in the mud and having to pay $300 to get out of the tow, get a good tow, or people like Levi who were literally up in, their ankles or kneecaps in poo water, Bonnaroo poo water. um, so it just seems scummy. It seems very preventable. If the companies actually cared, if they wanted to protect and keep a brand afloat and alive, they could have done things better
yeah, definitely.
in more ways than one. And to me personally, this right here speaks volumes about the situation and how they could have handled it. Like having an event outside of Bonnaroo in Nashville at a Live Nation, you know, uh, venue, for it to just be charged and taking advantage of these people who've already dished out all this money, you know, and took off this PTO.
Yeah,
So, and then other bands, right? There's so many other bands that were completely radio silent. And I don't want to like, you know, chastise this band or say anything bad about them, but King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, they were set up to have an amazing uh, event for Bonnaroo. They were going to do a residency. They were the first band to do a residency starting that day on Friday through Sunday. What happened to them? Nobody even knows. Like they were radio silent the entire time. They didn't say nothing on Reddit. All their Instagram accounts, nothing.
they went to Nashville and hung out. They went to see Justice at the Pinnacle. They were taking it easy. I think, like, you when you think about the fact that like King Gizzard had just like um gone through hell and back in like
trying to
24
get there.
hours to get over to the States to come to the farm to play, only to get there and be told like it's all fucked up, you know, that
Yeah,
I can understand how the first thing on their mind wasn't to immediately go to Nashville and book 3 straight nights of shows. I can understand how they just wanted to chill, but they were hanging out. Like I said, they saw Justice. People ran into them at the show. You know, they hung out and everything in Nashville, just checking it out. But the only thing I saw them post was like a repost of the statement about it being canceled with a broken heart emoji. But
yeah.
after that, you know,
And that's exactly what I saw too, was the broken heart emoji and how they were greatly disappointed. Um, also, that the event was canceled, because remember, this event doesn't just affect the fans. This whole decision affects a lot of different people. It affects the bands, it affects the vendors, it affects the stage production people who have to set these things up, you know?
yeah.
And there was a lot of telltale signs that Mikey was even saying when you guys were arriving on that Tuesday, that the farm was not suitable for what was ahead, at least for the weather.
Um, I don't know what signs he's
He,
referring to. I don't know what specifically he mentioned, but I didn't.
he
I've not
mentioned that
done.
the grounds were already pretty like saturated and mushy, at least, and stuff. Like the mud was already kind of starting to form and whatnot. And you can just tell that things were kind of churning in that direction. So all it needed was a good amount of rain, which is what happened on Friday, and it ended everything. They don't have the proper storm drainage system to manage and take care of these things. So,
I myself, I didn't notice anything that too bad when we arrived. I didn't know until it started to rain on. I feel like it rained a little bit on Thursday, but nothing too crazy.
yeah,
Um, but I don't really feel like I noticed anything like that upon getting there. I think hindsight's 2020.
agreed. I appreciate your opinion on that. I mean, I myself, just to, you know, make it clear, I was not there, but everything that I saw through Reddit and Instagram and people who were posting, um, it just it really spoke volumes about how prepared you think an event is until you're actually in the midst of something and you realize very quickly that they're not. Like they're definitely not prepared for these things. They don't have these types of thought out plans for these types of issues and scenarios. I mean, you gave a great example, Alex. If you don't mind me like restating it, but basically like what you were saying, you were waiting Saturday morning to start to see if somebody was out there trying to get cars moving or to help or get things going, and you kept waking up and looking around and nothing was going on, and then you went back to sleep, and you did that at least 2 or 3 times, and that kind of sums it up. Like there was no action. The organizers did not take action for what has occurred. And to throw salt in the wound, they finally, they've been radio silent since this like occurred. They finally posted today, earlier today, and I'm going to bring this up. And they said, "We just want to take a second to say thank you to the Bonnaroovians and entire Bonnaroo team. Last weekend, which was this past weekend, did not go according to plan, but together we got through it. Really, we really got through it. Uh, know that we are listening and reading every single comment. Bonnaroo is not a weekend on the farm in Tennessee. It's all of you. We love you." Like what kind of this feels very I don't know. Like they know. I 100% believe that they know that they're in hot water, and they almost like seem like they're trying to be a victim here by saying like you know, we love you in there at the end. uh Being like, hey, we love you. Don't forget. So don't be too harsh, but we're listening. And it's just like, oh god.
It's definitely the kind of response that like plays it safe, and it's not giving too many. People are asking for answers, and it's not giving too many. They're trying to tiptoe around giving answers, and I know they said in the comments to somebody that their focus is to read all the comments and listen to what people are saying and use that to make changes. But you have to think like, um, I mean, changes. They already should have been made.
Yeah. And that's something I want to actually highlight real fast because, like what we said, if within the past 5 years, since 2020 to 2025, Bonnaroo has canceled 3 out of 5 events that should have occurred. One was due to a pandemic. We all understand and know why that was canceled, respectably so. But 2021, they made the right call to cancel it then. There was like a hurricane or tropical depression or something that came through and it totally flooded the campgrounds ahead of time. So obviously, they knew that they had a drainage issue and stuff on their hands, right? So here we are. I found this article. I did some researching, and New Era LLC is the company that builds on the Bonnaroo farm, which is owned by Live Nation. Um, and it's interesting because this article dates back to 2023. And if you read throughout it, it talks about how they were working with the county and meeting, talking about how they're going to make certain improvements and stuff to the land. But all that they really do, this is the only article I can find about improvements that they actually did to the farm. And again, this was back in 2023. So that's 2 years ago. They did was obtain site approval for a storage warehouse for the festival equipment in the off season, basically. So when Bonnaroo's not happening, they just have somewhere they can store stuff. Beyond that, uh, it's just talking about housekeeping items, maintenance agreements, and holding off. Right here, there's an includes a request to hold off on paving until springtime. So, do we know that they actually went back and paved in 2024? I don't know
I'm not sure. Yeah.
because I can't find an article on it. There's no article talking about what they did in 2024. All that I can find is in 2023 what they did. And they also got the land use plan approval and things that were delayed. So it's very prevalent that the company that is managing the property of Bonnaroo Farms is obviously not doing everything that they should be doing. Um, there's nothing talking about, I mean, it looks like they talked about some rezoning of the property and whatnot. So I'm not sure why there's so much red tape as to why they have to go through so many hoops to try and make like change things, like if there's paving roads that they need to do or infrastructural additions such as like proper restrooms, um and of course engineering some proper storm drains as well, so if it rains for like 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours, it's not going to ruin the farm. I understand it's a lot of land. It's like 700 acres or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of crazy to me that this is how it works, you know. Like this is the inner workings on how they try and make the Bonnaroo farm ready. And beyond that, the organization itself, the Bonnaroo and Live Nation should have plans already put into place where they are supposed to help people with their cars that are stuck in the mud if the event is canceled, with like if there's, let's, God forbid, there's like a active gunman on site or something, like, most companies have plans for these things, if there's like an active terrorist threat or anything like that. Go work somewhere and they teach you that, they put that in like a work training video,
Yeah.
do they even have that type of training? I'm starting to question it all now. Like, what all does Bonnaroo actually do to prepare for things?
Well, I mean, there's another discussion to be had, um, which is, like the allocation of their money, because it seems like a lot of their budget and a lot of money went to building the new Infinity stage, when I don't really think that was more
Necessary.
important than, more infrastructure and, improvements to the grounds to strengthen it. And also, that stage was kind of a mess. Even if I respect like moving forward and trying something new, but I think that's a regrettable spending decision to make a new stage right now.
I'm gonna share this tab real quick, but this is what I looked up real quick on Reddit, and somebody posted saying thoughts on the Infinity stage. Anyone else disappointed in the Infinity stage? It was nothing like I envisioned. You can't even see it really in this. Like it looks like just some, I don't know, like what even would you call that? Like it's just like the
So with the Infinity
structure.
stage, what they had was, um it was like a stage with like a round circle around the top, and
Yeah,
there were like three different little platforms, but it was confusing because you went over there, and you were trying to see where the actual when it was harder even and more confusing at night, because you're trying to see where the actual stage is, but all you can see is just a bunch of lights, and there's a bunch of light glare, and so you can't see too good. It's just, and it crowds over in that corner. It's right by this tent, and it's where they had the Who stage before. It's just
yeah,
kind of a mess, I think.
yeah. And that's what they're saying. They're saying, it looked like a skeleton of a stage and 10,000 person capacity. Yeah, right. I think they need to go back to the drawing board. It needs to not be so tucked back in the corner so there's more room around the stage. I don't know, just underwhelming given all the hype they gave it. Yeah. Um, that's another thing that I wanted to say as well. There was a lot of hype around this year. Yeah, the lineup was great, but how the festival director and the team that really was like marketing this event, I almost want to say they oversold it. At least for, like you were just saying, for the this Infinity stage, like they definitely were gassing this thing up, saying it was going to be huge and like it was going to be this really cool thing. And even in like the concept art that they showed, it looked like it was massive and it had like all these cool things that were like going on. But from the like photos and videos I've seen, I can't even make out what it is. Like it just doesn't really look like anything. And from what I can recall, Brad, he's the festival director. He was saying in the What podcast, that the whole point of the stage is to not even like be facing towards the stage. You're supposed to just be encompassed in the sound and enjoy that. Like you're supposed to just enjoy being encompassed in the sound, and you're not supposed to be like looking for a stage and like looking for something to hype you up. And it's like, okay, like I think that would be cool to do, but maybe not in an open outside area. And if it is in an open outside area, why tuck it away in a corner? You know, maybe it
Yeah.
should be accessible from more angles. So then it feels less dense or less crowded. That way people feel like they can come and go more as they please instead of actually like wedging into an area and not like knowing where to look or what to look at. Um, so it just sounds like a dead end rat cage at that point. Like that sounds, I mean, kind of brutalist to say, but
I sent you a video. I texted you a video of it if you want something that's closer. Um,
yeah.
that shows it up closer.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick on my end. But what were some other thoughts that are going through your mind as well? Um, about
Um,
just just the Bonnaroo and the organizers and stuff. Because you were there.
I mean, I think that like I don't have any issue with their decision to cancel it. The decision to cancel it was right, and I mean nobody can control the weather um, as much as you can look at a forecast and you can predict and you can say, oh well, this is supposed to be like this or this is supposed to be like that. Things are not always going to be what they're supposed to be or what they look like they're going to be. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Um, so I think if people are upset, if there's anything to be upset with, it's the way that it was handled in the aftermath of the weather cancellation, not not the decision itself to cancel the festival, but also in the way that there was not much communication between staff and campers at that point. And also somebody told me, somebody that was working the event, they said the reason why staff couldn't get out there and do anything was because they all were told they had to hunker down in the back, um, or something like that. I'd have to like send it to you later, but yeah, there's all different perspectives of this thing. But
Yeah,
you
I
know,
was
the
able to pull
issue.
up your video real quick actually here. So
Yeah, there you go. You can
let's take a
share that.
gander. I mean, I'm gonna pause it right here. Um, but you can kind of see like what Brad was talking about, how like it's these little circular areas and then they have like speakers that are all encompassing and stuff just kind of playing and nobody's like looking at anything and stuff, cuz there's nothing really to look at. You're just encompassed by the music. And that's idealistically like the experience of what the Infinity Stage was supposed to be. Um and I think the way that like how Brad pitched it in like the What podcasts and other like podcasts or forums that he like spoke on, he made it sound like it was more of a grand fiesta type thing, like it was going to be something more. And I mean, it's just quite literally a circle of speakers and that's it. Like
Yeah,
if they actually wanted to do it right and get something that's even cooler than this, they should do Despacio or Despacio, however you say it.
yeah,
Despacio is way, 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 way better of an experience than whatever this is. Thank you for providing this video, though. By the way, this is great.
yeah.
So, yeah, but what? Where did we leave off on what you were saying?
I mean, we were just talking. I was just saying how the issue is with the way that the aftermath of the cancellation was handled, not so much in the decision itself to cancel the festival.
Yo, yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember now that you were saying. Okay, so I mean, I fully agree with you. Like it's very prominent that yeah, they had to cancel it. 100%. But the the fact that how they went about it, 75% of a refund. Is that enough of a refund? No, I don't think so. In my opinion, I think they should have been a minimum 80% because Thursday is not a full day experience. It is like three-fourths of a day experience. Yeah, those 2 hours really do make a difference, in my opinion. So they should be offering a little bit more of a refund there. Two, I think that they also should have been proactive in how they reacted and actually did Bonnaroo sponsored curated events in other cities in Live Nation venues where they actually had those bands that were originally scheduled to perform at Bonnaroo perform at these venues, and it's only limited to those that have the Bonnaroo wristbands, and tickets can only be picked up at the window if they show a wristband and ID. You know, that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Like that would control scalpers, that would control the situation at hand. So you don't have people buying the Bonnaroo Super Jam and reselling it at $500 for a ticket. Like that's ridiculous.
Well,
Only the rich and elite can enjoy that. Like that's not for everybody.
there's a lot of people that are also saying, even people that have gone to Bonnaroo for years, um, some of them, I don't know how long, maybe just the last few years, some of them maybe the last 10 or 15 years. But however many, there's a lot of people that are saying they might not go back at all, which
Oh yeah,
personally, I think it is too soon to say that. But um, everybody is entitled to feel uh, the way that they feel because it was a fucked up experience. But I think that if they want to focus on getting back some of those people who are considering just not coming back, then the best thing they can do next year is to offer a 25% discount on tickets for 2025 ticket holders, um, which really kind of fills in that last 25% that I feel like they should have been giving in the refund anyway. Um, but it's about, I mean, that's the best way to do it to me because that's about more than money, and that's more is about more than making money because it's more important to you to get people to come back and to keep coming and to make it right and to give them that olive branch than it is to just say fuck it and continue business as normal and we're just going to charge the same um whatever close to $500. Like give people a discount for their trouble. Give 2025 ticket holders a discount for their trouble would be the best way. I'm not personally going to say that I'm not going back to Bonnaroo because I don't really know yet. I think it's way too far out. um I
yeah.
considered not going back and I might still consider it, but it depends on what they do. It depends completely on what they do to take accountability and what changes they make. And if I feel like they're actually putting the work in to get people to come back there. So that's where I'm at on it.
I think that's a very fair statement and a valid opinion. That I mean, everything that you listed are valid reasons as to why somebody like a consumer from Bonnaroo who's been going for years could want to go back, because they give that extra 25% off. And I think that's huge. And if they also do the infrastructure improvements throughout the grounds and maybe even provide, like, I know that, you know, not to switch gears or change our focus, but Hinterland, I don't know if you remember or not, Hinterland Music Fest had a huge issue last year where they were dealing with the heat wave, right? And they offered a guarantee this time around. If I can find it, they posted about it when they announced the festival for this year. Um, but the guarantee states, like, if the temperatures are above a certain, you know, degree, you can opt out to going to Hinterland and receive full refund. Like you don't have to go and endure the elements and suffer like how people did. Here it is. I found it. Let me share this tab. All right. Hopefully it's showing it. Let me see. It's not
It's not
showing it
showing.
yet. Is it showing it now? No. Hold on. Technical difficulties. All right. Let's see. Is it showing it now? Yeah, there it is. Okay, cool. So the 90-degree guarantee, Hinterland's new weather-related ticket return policy. What is it? For Hinterland 2025, we are enacting a 90-degree guarantee. This policy will allow ticket holders the option to request festival admission ticket returns for any day that is predicted to reach 90 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. How it works. If on Tuesday, 7/29 at 10 a.m. Central Time, the weather.gov forecasts for these dates of August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd to have a true temperature of 90 degrees or higher for the zip code of 50240, um, ticket purchasers will have the option to request a return of their festival admission ticket for the day. So, return requests are only valid for the day the forecast is 90 degrees or higher. 3-day ticket holders can request a return for specific days at a rate of 1/3 of the total 3-day ticket price. To qualify for a return, ticket holders must fill out the 90-degree ticket return request form at this website here prior to 1 p.m. CT of July 29th. Return returns will be processed within as little as 10 days. So there you have it. That's the 90-degree guarantee that Hinterland is offering their festival goers. Um, I think offering policies like this is an acceptable thing in today's day and age. If you know that Bonnaroo is scheduled in the rainy season every June, and you see that in the forecast it's supposed to be bad and rainy, and you sign up for the guarantee, opt out, get your money back, avoid the headache, you know,
Yeah,
or take the gamble and just go. That to me is like buying security right there. That is like better than ticket insurance at that point, you know? They don't offer ticket insurance for these festivals.
yeah. No, I mean that everybody should kind of think outside the box and offer stuff like that.
What's your
I'm
thoughts
not.
on the guarantee and
Um,
if Bonnaroo should do something like this?
I mean, I feel like they should try it. I don't know if Hinterland is a Live
It's
Nation festival or not.
I don't think so. I think Hinterland's independent.
I would guess it's not Live Nation because if it were, they would never offer some shit like that.
No, yeah,
It's
I definitely not. But in my opinion, when I first read about this guarantee, it was a game changer. Honestly, I really think that more festivals should advocate for offering these types of policies and stuff for people to opt into, especially because if this was offered for Bonnaroo last year, you know, you could have opted out on the Sunday, right? Because Sunday was like extremely hot last year for Bonnaroo.
extremely hot day. Yeah,
Yeah. And if you already knew that that was going to happen and stuff, you could have said, "Hey, I'm going to just hang out at Bonnaroo until Saturday, and I want my money back for Sunday." They go, "Okay, here's a refund for Sunday. Here's your 25% for that day."
yeah,
Game changer. Are you kidding me? Like that to me is consumer confidence at its finest. Like that is very reassuring. I think that they should stretch this to include different types of weather, whether it's rain or um, heat. Obviously, those are the two weather activities that seem to happen the most. Um, but ultimately, like I really think that these types of festivals that are offering these huge giant experiences that people are taking 10 vacation days for to attend and be at, you know.
yeah.
it makes it less of a risk. It makes it less of a headache, and it kind of puts it on you at the same time. But I think it's best that way because it seems like to me, like obviously the festival organizers don't have everybody's best interest unless it's like something where they have to react or act.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. um we've been talking for like an hour. This is a long time.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to jump off here. But
Do you have any closing statements or last things that you'd like to say about the event, or things that you hope for the future? I think you kind of said it best when you said offering the 25% off, the extra 25 that they didn't give us, on the back end to the front end. That was a pretty good statement. I like that.
I mean, you know, I would say probably don't make up your mind about Bonnaroo just yet, and whether you're gonna go back. Just wait and see what they do. But at the same time, um, don't tell don't tell people to radiate positivity every single time that they're saying their experience, because it's like it validates people's experience. I mean, everybody's experience. There was like 80,000 people that went through this shit. So if every time somebody says that they're considering not going back and you tell them to radiate positivity and just move past it and be positive, is kind of stupid. So don't do that. I would say. But
Agreed.
yeah, I would say to Live Nation, stop fucking ruining Bonnaroo and actually listen to people and make changes, or you need to get fucked. That's all I got.
Yeah. All right. Alex, my man, I appreciate you jumping on the pod and sharing the video and, telling us all about your experience and stuff. I really wish that we could have had Levi and Mikey on here as well. Understandably, Levi's very sick and Mikey was unable to join. So, shout out to those Bonnaroo people who are going through the Bonnaroo blues and the heartache, of what could have been. And I agree with you, Alex. I think, don't make a subtle decision to totally disown the brand, but allow them to try and gather what has been said and actually show a plan and, you know, create maybe some policies where you can be able to take advantage of your own money, your own money, your own time. Because I don't think anybody deserves to experience what has happened this past weekend and
I
to
mean,
have to.
I'll give them the consideration of coming back if they'll give us the guarantee of actually putting work in to change shit and not do things like this again.
Agreed. Um, Full stop. Agree. I just think, if they come to the table with a plan, they offer discounts, they show consumer loyalty. Um, if they pull out all the right stops, I think that's all that they can really do. You know, at the
Yeah,
end of the day, the brand is tainted. People are hurt from this, and
yeah,
it's going to take time to go through the grieving process of what everybody has known and loved as Bonnaroo is no longer here, and this is what we are dealing with.
yeah.
So, to those people, I express my, sadness with you, sympathy. And, I'm also a Bonnaroovian from 2018. I only went the 1 year. There's so many other years I wish I could have gone, but just wasn't the right place, right time. And I would have gone this year for sure because the lineup was great. But you can
Yeah.
tell it just wasn't meant to be. And I don't think a lineup is a selling point anymore for Bonnaroo. I think it's more about how they go about it over these next few steps to regain the customer confidence through policies, through ticket price reductions, through reassurance, um, and actually showcasing they have a plan.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have any plan and they don't show up with anything like that next year, save your money, save your PTO, go somewhere else. Bonnaroo is definitely not the event anymore. Like, find something else. Go to Kilby Block Party. Kilby Block Party, amazing event. Independent. Support your independent events out there. Hinterland, independent event. Go support them. You know, these little guys need some more love and attention, I think, at this point. But right now, I think the big guys, they need to sit down and really think about what these events actually mean and how they can actually provide a good experience.
Yeah.
So, and with that, I think that'll sign off on the podcast. Thank you so much again, Alex, for coming on and providing all of your amazing knowledge and your footage of the Infinity stage. Appreciate every moment. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
For sure.
And I've been Crispy Cody. Thanks for joining me on the Crispy Reviews podcast for this live segment. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them on whatever video that you watched them. I'll be sure to find them and comment on them. And be sure to subscribe, like, follow, do all those social things that everybody does. So, all right. Stay crispy. Later.
Later.